Aloha out there in radio, TV, and internet land. This is Jason Schwartz, your host at the Neutral Zone, MauiNeutralZone.com. We're now 4 years old. Isn't that amazing as a show? We've been doing shows a long time under different names, but as a Neutral Zone, we've been talking about values, and I stayed away from elections so that we could have, when I first started, it was election season, but giving equal time to candidates, and I decided to do values, but here now I'm a candidate. I thought I have an idea. I can do TV shows without having to do equal time, but radio may be equal time. Why don't I do a show? I've even interviewed one of the people I'm running against. So I am in a great space. I am now in the 2022 election. We almost are at the starting gate, June 7th, when we know who we're running against. But one man that has stepped up and has clearly stepped up and is out there now, and I've only seen one forum at Kihei Community Association, and the word is Cullan Bell has something to say, and outspoken. And that's our guest, special guest. Cullan, aloha, welcome to the show.
Aloha, Jason. Thank you for having me on.
I don't know if you've been known to all our audience. Maybe you want to do an opening introduction of who you are, literally personal stuff, and what got you to decide that you want to run for mayor this time?
So many pressing issues here on Maui County. Issues that have been going on for decades, really. And just in the past few years, you know, I've really noticed. I have three young kids, a 9-year-old, 5-year-old, and a 3-year-old. And in the past few years, I've really got to notice how our kids and our youth of these islands have been pushed to the back burner to big hotel corporations and, you know, other foreign interests coming in. I'm just been so saddened at how their lives have been taken away. Fun has been taken away. Memories, endless memories have been taken away from our youth. And it's just real disappointing that we've come to this point in time. We're supposed to be the Aloha State. We're supposed to be a family-oriented place. And our home is divided right now. And it's a real visible divide, you know, and the separation, it bothers me. You know, we're supposed to be a real small, tight-knit community. But as for what pushed me to do what I'm doing, as to step up and throw my name in the pot for the mayoral race is my kids, you know, and all the kids of Maui. It's Maui County, and it's real disheartening. You know, these kids have been masked for 2 years straight, over 2 years, and it's totally unnecessary. We're the last state in the nation that has kids masked every day in school for 7 hours. You know, like I said, endless memories, graduations, proms. You know, for a lot of these kids, I grew up playing sports here on Maui, and I played baseball since I was 5, football since I was 8, and for a lot of kids on Maui, football or sports in general is their ticket out, their ticket for a higher education, you know, their ticket off the rock. And so many kids lost endless season, 2 seasons in a row, 3 for some. And, you know, that was their ticket off the rock, their ticket for better opportunities. And
you feel like the outside, non-masked sports activities by being cut back really was a blow to these kids. I get you. So obviously you're seeing things for a long time. May I ask, are you Hawaiian? You are.
Yes.
And
I'm part Hawaiian.
Some reason I'm even bringing it up. You know, we're all, I guess it's a nonpartisan race, but I'm green. I used to be green when I was running before. Way back. Now I'm running again for council. I'm not running against Tasha Kama, just by example. Actually, she's a wonderful lady, and she's gone through some major challenges in the last couple of years. But a lot of people don't like her. I'm 71, and I'm running. I, like you, see a lot of things here that need to be changed. Your ideas and things about the kids. As mayor, I'm not sure specifically. I guess the mask mandates probably are still around now. Do we still have things in place now for kids in school? Because I don't have kids. I don't.
Through summer.
How do the kids respond?
You know, I coach 3 football teams, 3 youth flag football teams, and majority of them hate it. But some, I've had some show up to practice with their mask on outside. It's like the fear mongering, guilt tripping that they have done to these kids. I think, yeah, the physical harm that the masks are doing are obvious, but the thing that people don't think about is the mental harm that these masks are doing to the kids, and the amount of pressure that we're putting on them. Don't come home and spread the virus to grandma. You're going to kill grandma, or this and that. And the propaganda that's been pushed on television, on every single commercial, every news outlet, every media outlet. I even hear propaganda on Pandora now, and it's Hawaii state propaganda. And like I said, it's the mental side effects from the past 2 years for some of these kids is going to be irreversible. And these kids are going to have issues growing up, and this generation will have so much mental health problems. I mean, it's visible now. The second leading cause of death in the past 2 years for young adults and children or minors has been suicide. It's crazy.
So you would change that immediately. And
Right.
May I ask, when I said about Hawaiian, the reason I even mentioned that is because I always wondered whether culturally there were any ways to get any exceptions created. Were any of those things created? So, because the masking ceremony, I mean, I think it's, from what I've seen, the natural healing from the Hawaiian culture. I've watched, I'm off on a different tangent, but the thing that I haven't seen, this COVID thing was a problem with respiratory. And there are things like hydrogen and HHO, which reduce inflammation. It seems like we were told about this thing and made for fear, but given no home treatment methods, no plan except what? Even now, and now things are rising, the fear thing is just horrible, and the education needs to be greater. I don't know how many people, doctors, esteemed doctors, I don't know who's watching what when you're making these rules, that masks maybe are, if anything, 30% by the size of the particles involved. It's totally wasted. So it's like, it's compound errors upon hiding the truth and forcing things. And I don't like that method. It sounds like you don't like it either.
Not at all. They offered a one solution fits all, which is wear your mask and get the shot. And personally, we had, myself as well as a few friends of mine, actually got a sit-down meeting with Josh Green and Mayor Victorino back in 2020, I believe. And we had a world-renowned pediatric cardiologist. I don't know if you know who Dr. Kirk Milhone is, but we had him sit in on that meeting, and he was our expert. The day before, I was called by the mediator, and we were told we only had a minute each. So we actually started giving our minutes to Dr. Kirk because he had all the information. He had, he had everything. He had a stack of papers like this, proving, the side effects, the adverse reactions in young men, especially, but in youth in general.
From the shot.
Of the shot and even the mask as well, and the detriments of what the mask should do. But another thing he was doing was providing information on early treatments, and not a one solution fits all. And that's the problem. And throughout the past 2.5+ years, I've actually spoken with doctors who have been in the hospital here on Maui, nurses who've been in the hospital on Maui, as well as paramedics who were called to homes when, like you said, it was a respiratory virus and people couldn't breathe. But they were told to leave them unless they were, basically deathly ill. So that's another big issue, is the early treatments weren't provided. No other solutions except theirs. The CDC, the DOH, except theirs were told to people that worked. So from the nurses and doctors that work in Maui Memorial Hospital, I was being told, I was told on many occasions, I have documentation of it, that they were waiting till people were deathly ill. They would come in there, they would slap them on the respirator, on the ventilator, and pump them with remdesivir. which was nationally, it was a national thing. Every hospital was told that that was the procedure they were to follow. And I mean, I don't know if you've researched remdesivir, but it causes chronic kidney failure.
Well, I'm only going to stop you because I haven't been talking much about it, but
right.
I didn't have a shot. I haven't had a booster. I've been following safe practices and staying distant, and I haven't been in social situations. And those that are in social situations, if they chose to get the shot, I know lots of people that stopped after one and didn't get boosters. I've seen now people getting sick with boosters, non-boosters. Now, I have a partner who's 79 years old who also chose not to get into it. Why? I don't know Dr. Kurt, but I can tell you I've listened to doctors from all sides. And when I first heard the words SARS and COVID, I looked on the internet and I saw 1990 and I said, patenting a virus? What's this? And that was my first hit before. And, and I'm involved with people that are working on HHO, taking electrolysis of water to create hydrogen in a configuration. It's an anti-inflammatory, things that could bring the dollars in for tourism without increasing numbers of tourists. Who's looked at, people aren't looking here. I always wonder, like, there's this focus here that is just not listening like I would like. And that's what makes me run. Besides this, because, that's an issue for sure. There's so many sides to that. It's created, like you said, polarization of people when we're one community. The aloha from everyone seems to be retreating into pockets that are unhealthy, when in fact, a lot of love and aloha and caring might solve a lot of problems. There's a strong arm approach coming from, I think, the present regime, from my appearance, homeless. They don't want to have a homeless get fed and do things in a way that's going to have them get treatment that isn't through their little system. And their system doesn't have humane things, doesn't have enough things. They're not calling it an emergency. As mayor, when I think of who I want to be a mayor, I like someone who has independent spirit, but listens to wise counsel. Sounds like you were looking and listening to wise counsel. Just like you said, there was no alternative put out for all of us. And I think some of that was because they were told that if they put it out, they'd lose their funding. The whole thing has been a...
Follow the money. That's what I always, that's what we always do. Myself and my team.
Those are the kind of subjects that we'll have talk on, in a day when you're not running. Because now that you're running, I want to give you platform for issues that you want to cover. The mask thing and the mandates and the kids in school, I can see that would immediate change. I hope that our mayor will consult and his team will soften their look at this and better understand what they're dealing with. I haven't seen the mayor really and spoken to him since he became mayor. But
I don't think anyone has.
Well, I believe that he has so many things to do that he's delegating, and sometimes the people you delegate to kind of keep people from you. But some people get to see him, like you said. You had a meeting with Josh Green and the mayor. I sure would have hoped that we'd get more information out. I wonder why Dr. Green hasn't done that, why we haven't seen alternative stuff, because he seems like a real conscious guy. So I always wonder about who's controlling. That's why I guess Kahului is running for governor, right? He's afraid that the money's controlling Hawaii. And I haven't talked to Kai yet, but, it's interesting. So let me stand aside and let
me just get one more thing on that subject.
Sure.
My stance is obviously it should have always been a personal choice. The constant putting down our throats of we got to do this or we got to do that or we're going to kill people. Everybody should be in control of their own health. That shouldn't be anybody else's responsibility but said person. And as for our children in schools, it should always been a parental choice. The children, they're our children. They're not the government's children. So what we do with our children, what we teach them, how we raise them, what medical procedures we want for them, those are what should be followed. It should have never been, forced on us. And that's my stance on that. You want to wear a mask, you go ahead and wear it. If you believe it protects you, you go ahead and wear your mask. If you want to get the shot, you do that. That's all personal choice. It should not be anybody else's business but your own.
100%, I'm with you.
100%.
If I was going to say a hit list of issues, I don't put housing and homelessness in. Housing, homelessness, water, farming. Where's your passion? Other areas that you'd like to take and address?
So what I think, can you give me 1 second? My kids are
you sure can.
In the background.
Yeah, I'm going to put it on pause here. Let's see. And kids are okay? Everything's good?
Yep, everything all good. So my hit list of what I think are the main pressing issues here on Maui. Obviously, I'm going to put the kids first. They're our future. We're their protectors. We need to stand up for them. Myself and a bunch of my dear friends have been standing up, boots on the ground, regardless of what the fight is, regardless of what I'm doing. I'm at work sometimes, and if something needs to be done to protect our kids, for example, they were sending out test packets, 2 each to children young as 5 years old. These test packets have ethylene oxide in them, which is toxic. And also 2 little Q-tips in them, a 5-year-old. Wouldn't you think that would be a bad idea to give a 5-year-old a box with poison as well as 2 little Q-tips in them?
At school? They gave it to them at school? Where?
Yes, at school. So myself and 2 good friends of mine showed up to the DOE, and we actually got them to stop handing them out at schools here in Maui County. So that's just one example.
Good.
But yeah, like I said, boots on the ground, actually standing up and fighting for the kids. I know how you said, so DOE is out of my jurisdiction, but that's not an issue.
Not as mayor. As mayor, you have a lot to say.
I will still have executive power, and I will still put myself in between the kids and the DOH and the DOE. So we just need somebody to stand up, and money, I'll not be bought. I will not be told what to do. I will not be bullied. I will stand up for what I know is right. I will stand up for what I know is morally correct. And, like I said, I'll put myself in between the kids and anybody else. I'm not afraid of nobody. So the second main thing that I think has plagued this place for a long time, and it blows my mind that we've come this far, is food. We import majority of our food. I read it was about something around 90%.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. So we live in a tropical area, and one of the best places to grow food. I know HCNS has the soil is really depleted, but there's ways to rejuvenate and reactivate the soil. And I think we definitely need to look into those methods, and we need to figure out how, or ways that we can grow things that'll help support this community. Well, say shipping gets cut off.
I can tell you, because I imagine you haven't really been on top. There are passionate food security people on this island. I could name names. If you look at some of the shows that I've done over the last few years, you're going to say, who are these people? Al Perez, Lucien, Jenny Pell, people that have built out food security things. Keith Ranney, Vince Mina, and the Hawaii Farmers Union. There's a tremendous wealth of small farms happening. Mahi Pono, for the fact that we don't know if they're using the best practices, I don't really know because I haven't looked, but they planted over 1 million trees and things, and they're doing all kinds of testing for the things you're talking about. It's going to be I want to say exciting time. We should have done this decades ago, but now that HCNS is marginalized and we have a new owner, hopefully they're going to be a responsible big farm and encourage there are technologies to take our waste and make power and super slime, I like to call it, to be able to make things grow like Jurassic Park. There are things that I'm telling you, what I see is that the people I've spoken to, both on my show and off, in political office, while they're with me, then they'll show, yeah, good idea. Yeah, that sounds interesting. But no one's picked it up. How long do you have to pick it up? You know, I mean, I don't mean to be rude about it, but we've laid out solutions for things that haven't been picked up. The things you're talking about, I'm passionate about just like you. And I'm glad we're hooking up because I can tell you, no question, there's extreme groundswell of support. You can see with the agriculture and the farming, we are leaders in the world on solar. We have some really passionate people here that will take the technology that's new and the traditional old Hawaiian customs. I've been talking to Shane Sinensi and his family with the halaus. I'm so interested in moving forward out of this box. There is no box, but they somehow have been following this formula here. You know, when you're talking about way too long, we haven't. Food security should have been here 30 years ago. I've been hearing them talk about housing. You too, right? Housing. Well, we need 2,000. Well, now we need 4,000. Now we need 6,000. Now we need 15,000. We can't build fast enough, you know, and affordable enough to be, unless we try something different. What about equity sharing? What about part? None of these things are proposed in any kind of grand plan, but they've been, lots of people are talking about them, but the administration is too busy dealing with alligators. That's the problem. That I'm hoping someone like you seem like you'd want to go in and see where people are not being efficient. We're seeing how we can improve systems.
Permitting.
I always remember years ago, you know, we all talked about business consult. They never bring someone in to say, let's see, how can we do this? Well, we got to save jobs forever and pensions. And now what's burying everybody? Pensions. Why? Because the system hasn't been sustainable. Yeah, it's crazy. It's like, how are we going to do this? Well, we have to ask for more money from the people for taxes from their homes. Well, and the schools, well, that's a state issue, not a local. It's a maze where, like you're saying, look at that. A parent says, I want to mask my child or not mask my child. I want this here. We're really getting out of touch with things. You know, I may sound like, you know, I'm a bit wild. I think that's just frustration. I'm so thankful there's someone like you, you know, again, I'm a grandparent. I never had kids. And so, but I really can feel for a father and mother that have their kids in school all this time. I don't know how we're getting at. Are you getting more social services and mental health services and things like that?
You know, I really don't know, but I definitely think that's something that we need to look really long and hard at, because, you know, I think it being a state-ran organization, social services and stuff like that, I think everything kind of just gets swept under the rug. You know, they throw money at it. Like, I mean, same with homeless. They throw money at them. They never take the time to distinguish between, you know, who the homeless are or what the mental issues are. It just kind of gets lumped into one ball.
I was going to say, they may take the time, but, you know, it's like when you have a doctor with 300 patients a month he has to see, one every 15 minutes, and he better not take too long. And then the person has to support that. Or in all these different services, gigantic, overwhelming need. How is our budget being structured? There's so many things. So how do you take $1 and turn it into $5? Wow. Because there's such incredible need. That's why I'm saying, I don't think they're stupid. I think they're trying to figure out how to do 3 things at once. Let's see who's coming up. Let's see who this is. You want to take a look?
It's all good.
All right,
I'm
let's
sure
see
it's
what.
got to be one of my team members. So it's one.
Okay.
6 people.
Let's admit them. All right. And hopefully she's on now, and she's non-visuals. That's why she's on. Okay, so So you were on your list. Agriculture and food is a major deal.
Yeah, so definitely. So food, I definitely think is a major one. Considering we import 90% of our goods, why are we importing mangoes and avocados from Mexico? Blows my mind. We have some of the best mangoes here. I mean, you go to Kihei, you go to Lahaina, every tree is packed right now. And why aren't we supporting? There's, for instance, there's Yee's Orchard down here. Why don't we support them?
Well, how do you do that in a free market system? That takes some law, right? What is that? To give some advantage to the local farmer and their pricing and some. So I was at the HGEA. I don't know if you've gone to see them, the Hawaii government's, and they said to me, "We make less than a living wage here. What are you going to do about it?" I'm only on council. Ask the mayor. What? How about not like a trade dollar, but a trade credit, something like a add-on for food and housing to be able to make it competitive. If you go, that Food Lane has da bucks, these discount on produce. Make it an advantage to go to a Maui hub and buy from local produce. That's the thing, but people don't go and they don't know about it. It's not being promoted in a way because it's private, quote, private enterprise, or however it's viewed. It needs to be much more priority. And like you say, needs to be out front, embraced by everyone as like one of those things. Food security. I'm talking too much. What's your next one?
Food security, obviously housing is a big issue. 1 in 5 properties right now, I believe was the number that I saw, is not a permanent resident, is a part-time resident or vacation rental. And I definitely think, there's affordable housing going up right now, but who are the properties affordable to? Like you said, not a lot of people make a livable wage right now. They got 2 parents in the household working multiple jobs. And like I said, I think back to the food, obviously it's not going to happen overnight, but I definitely think we need to start the wheels in motion so we can be sustainable here, and not everything needs to be shipped here. I think if we lower the cost of food by producing our own food, we got over 60,000 head of venison here. Some of the best protein that you can get in the world, and the best tasting protein as well. I don't know if you've had access there, but it's one of the best tasting deer meat that I have ever eaten. And I've ate a bunch of different deer.
Have you heard the concept? I forgot the gentleman that Borges down in McKenna talked about a large planned roundup and harvest of the venison. They're talking about too much axis deer and trying to control. Have you seen any of those kind of things going on? Some plans like that?
No, but that would be an awesome idea. And I also think we definitely need, whether it be private or public, a county funded, but I think we need a slaughterhouse and processing plant here. That in itself would create jobs. It would create food stability, and it would take care of a bunch of the excess axis deer that we have here.
I remember they did try to do that. It got to be a financial deal. And like you say, the question of public-private, who's doing it, who's the money, right, and where's the profit motive? The big G. I used to think it was God. Now I know it's greed. Greed.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's the lust for money that is the root of all evil, for sure. But I don't know if you follow a lot of things going on in the world right now. I'm sure you do. But for me, my thought is things are going to get a whole lot worse than they are right now. Oh, yeah. And it's on the near horizon. I'm talking about within the next couple of years. And if we're not prepared for what's going to happen, a lot of people, I hate to say it, but a lot of people may die. And we're going to we have a shortage. They're already talking about we got a shortage of gasoline because the Keystone pipeline was closed down. We're importing all our gas. You see gas is through the roof right now. Shipping might be cut off because of that as well. I don't know if you've been following the amount of food processing plants that have been mysteriously burnt or exploded in the past 8 to 10 months. Things can get real bad real quick, and we need to be prepared for what's on the horizon. one thing I've noticed in the past few years is the government does not care about us right now. They do not care about us. And we need to be prepared as a community. We need to come together. You know, this divide that they push daily on every single news outlet and media station. It's constant fear mongering, it's constant divide, and we need to come together in a community. If not, we're not going to be ready for what's coming.
Who sets that tone, I wonder, in the media? Because you're right. It's, you know, it's not showing love for all of us. I always wonder if it's they don't have enough money, or, you know, they just don't know where to prioritize. It's so overwhelming. And, you know, like in Singapore, I don't know if you ever heard this one. At the turn of the century, it was completely flat broke, but they, you know, practically, and a horrible economy. They sent people to Harvard and Yale and Oxford, brought them back that they were, you know, working for the government. And now they're the greatest economy in the world. We need to update the brains of some of the people that are, I don't mean to be weird about it, people that are running this place do not have a bigger global picture. And there are, I think the number was 2,700 natural solutions to things that we're not dealing with in a big way. Like the weight of columns in different buildings with crystals under them can create enough power to power the building and more. Things that aren't being used, that we're a place to be an example to the world. 30 years, I'm talking about showing our art and our music and the culture, unique culture, elevate the Hawaiian culture, show the music and art, get money flowing in from the world and do these things here and do it all here. And all they do is say, push it back, or, oh, it's just Jason talking like you. I don't want to be marginalized. And I imagine that's what's up. You're the voice of the people and you're tired of being marginalized. You're not getting what you feel you need for your family. I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but you sound like me, like you're just laying the facts out and would like to see change. I don't know how to deal with the budget. I've been watching these guys really play a difficult dance. You know, I watched the councils trying to do things that they're a brave group. They're really like making major things happen. And there's so much more to do. Keep going on your list, because, you know, we're talking about things. I'm always looking at, like, my thing with housing and homeless. We need to call this an emergency and take the people off the street. Some people said it was best when they were all at the harbor. The Salvation Army and other groups could help and work from a place. Now they're everywhere and everything's strewn, and it's just crazy. It's like someone, and again, sorry, Mr. Arakawa, cleaning them out and throwing them all through the community, and people don't like people in the streets. And then, like you say, and then they put them all in one lump. They say, wait, those homeless people are the same as the guy that's now in the street, can't pay $3,500 or $5,000 for a house. Ridiculous rents, and 20% of the inventory is going empty that they want to get their best prices on. I don't know where that came from. So you can see I'm a sort of like you, but I'm I don't know, council, you got to be of 9. As a mayor, you have, I believe, the power to really shape these departments in a really powerful way.
Yeah, for sure. You know, and when I get in, that would be my plan. So when I get in, my first thing, order of duty would be, I would go through every single department and make sure they're running efficiently, make sure everyone's doing their jobs. You know, if not, if you know, there's a lot of people that's been in the same department for decades at this point, you know, and things aren't running as smoothly as they should be. And, you know, it's time to shake the tree, and we need to get people in positions where they can actually make a difference, and we can actually start getting this engine to purr, you know, because I, for one, and you know, my wife for the past 2 years has been asking me to move somewhere where we can be free, move somewhere where we can raise our kids the way we want to. I've pulled my son out of the public school system. My oldest son is 9. He's the only one that was of age to go to school. We pulled him out of the public school system in 2020. I didn't have it in my heart to send him to school for 7 hours a day in a mask. And medical exemption we applied for and had signed by his pediatrician was declined by the principal. So we made the executive choice to pull him out of school. But so like I said, we definitely need a clean house. And, you know, if a person is not doing their job, they need to go. We need people in positions that actually want to help this community.
And maybe they need more help. And maybe we can find alternative ways of paying people. That's what I was talking about earlier. 100%. Like, how do you stretch the money? We stretch it by creating things that help the local people that are tied to and make it equitable. And anyway, I just don't know why I don't see those creative. These are things that the world, I don't have to be a genius. I just have to look around the world. There's tremendous resources that we are not using.
100%. And like, I'm not a genius either. I don't know everything. I don't have all the solutions, but when I get in, I'll surround myself by the experts in each division and each department, and we'll figure this thing out as a team. And we'll listen to the community, get input. We'll hold at the very least, quarterly, you know, like open houses. My door is going to be open to the public. So there's town halls. So, you know, I think that's a big issue, and it has been for the past couple of years, is, you know, the lack of transparency and the lack of accountability. And those are things that I will stand by and make sure my office administration will 100% abide by, is 100% transparency and accountability. And like I said, I'll surround myself by the experts in each division, and we'll start pulling this place up by its boots.
Wow. Where were you going to move if not from here? Where do you go to get freedom in the United States?
You know, the short list was, I got a friend up in Texas, has 40 acres. We're thinking Utah. There's a very short list, but, you know, I'd hate to leave this place. We can trace my Hawaiian lineage 7 generations back here. My family, you know, has been on Maui for 4 generations. And it's, you know, I'd hate to leave. This is home. It's where I was born and raised. This is where I'd love to raise my kids. But, you know, leadership here has driven this place into the ground, and I don't see any other option right now. So like I said, this is my last push for this place. This my home. This is going to be my last push, and I'm going to give it my all. And, you know, win or lose, I hope to open eyes on the way. And, you know, if we can open eyes and start to bring this community together, I did my job.
Well, you know, I feel like I've been holding this vision that you've had for 3 decades. I mean, people will say, have you ever heard of the Maui Arts and Music Association? That's me. I created this. I'm holding this vision of how we can do things. I say to all of us, what you're doing is what I'm doing. We get to awaken people and give them a feeling of togetherness and the power of what we can do. I really don't see anything we can't solve here. I mean, that sounds odd to some people, but I've heard so many solutions that I think are realistic if we all agree. Life will not be like the old model. It can't continue the way it is. When I go to West Side, I work for the movies as a grunt. I went and was in a movie thing here. To drive the West Side, the highway going through Kanapali, it made me cry. It looked like, you know, the West Side Highway on some main thing in the mainland. North Beach and the places that were open spaces are all getting closed down. Why would you want to come and spend $800, $600, $500 a night to be in a place that you're squeezed in?
Like 13 right now.
Unbelievable to me that we've let this go, and now we're supposed to maintain it. What are you kidding me? You know, it's almost like, how can we deconstruct it? How can we create a highway system to stop the clog? You know, I mean, maybe these are state things, but you as mayor, you know, again, I look at this council now as their ears are open and they're trying to do their best. but it needs a brave, I want to say brave, a brave and strong leader to get things. I can see you want to get things moving, and you want to get them, like you say, faster than slow. If we need 10,000, we don't need them in 3 years. What are we going to do now? We need to find a bridge. And there are ways to do this, and nothing like that's been explored openly with the public. If they would be more open and just tell us if they're planning these alternative things we've heard of. If they would say, we're listening to the people on Maui that are trying to do this, but it's all not discussed. And those groups are all afraid to say they're in discussion with some of these other people, because other ones say, oh, you're talking to Mahi Pono, and all these kind of attitudes that happen. It takes brave leader to say, hey, I'm white guy, but I like Hawaiians. Hawaiians, they're like me. Why are we separating? Why aren't we doing things together? Why can't we stop this walls? Mask, no mask, freedom of our own choice. I know I'm using a broad brush, but that's what I get about you. You really are going in there. You don't have all the answers, but you're going to surround yourself with people, and you're listening, and you're going to do the best thing and be there for the people like you don't feel they're doing now. And your passion is unquestionable to me. I just want to say, I've interviewed other people for mayor, and so far, everyone has different things, and a lot of us agree on stuff. But your passion is unquestionably, what do I say? It's thick. When you're in a thing with the other mayoral candidates, your presence is felt in a very big way. And we still have a little bit of time left. I want you to really talk about things that are really important that you want to make sure that in a thing like this you cover.
Yeah, so I definitely think we need to bridge the gap. I mean, like you said, there's separation. Like I've said, there's separation, between government and Native Hawaiians. That gap needs to be bridged. There has to be common ground that we can come to. Water rights is a big one. I'm actually going to go out to Honolulu and speak with Napua Hueu and talk about, solutions going forward. We need to hear everybody out. We need to talk. We need to come together as a community. We need to not rely on tourism. I think that's a big one. That's a kicker. Development, giant developers, and hotel corporations. I think that's a big one. We need to stop relying on them. You saw what happened when we got locked down. Our economy just went into the dump. And
the thing about not relying on them, some people say, well, that'll mean developing our economy more here and more congestion. You can't move the clock backwards. You and I would like to move the clock backwards to where I ran for mayor in 94 and say, hey, wait, hold it. I talk in 95 about solar and renewable. No one's listening. I sit and talk with Pundi about how to do these things. And here we are. They make a statue of him, and me, they've marginalized. And it's like, it's time for us we got to deal with these problems as they are. And so we can stop tourism from growing and show them how to make more dollars per visitor if that's their goal. But this local economy takes economy of scale. If you have businesses opening, when I see a thing like, here comes Chick-fil-A, Cane Sugar, TJ, this one, and all these mainland companies coming here, they're supported by huge corporations that have the money to let those stores be here and be faster, slow, lower prices. They're competing with our local businesses big time.
100%.
So when you're talking about that, it's America. How do you do that? You got to, I guess, legislate it to give the advantage to develop these local businesses. And all so when you're talking, that's how I'm thinking. All I am is one guy, but you can imagine working on a council with someone like myself. You'd see a lot of.
I'd love to have you on there, man. That would be awesome. Is nobody's saying those things. Everybody kind of tiptoes around those, those certain issues, and I'm going to stomp through those puddles. Those are all things that need to be, put out in the open so everybody can have their opinion. Everybody can throw in their ideas for sure. And, I think that's been the issue is nobody has the tenacity to come through and just lay everything out. And, I'm not going to tiptoe around no questions. I'm not going to tiptoe around, if I don't know the answer, I'll let you know straight. I don't have an answer for that, but I'll find it out. And, I'm not talking about eliminating tourism. Yeah, it is what it is already, but we need to figure out ways, like you said, to support and allow local businesses to prosper and not these giant corporations to come in and just take over. Because I personally know a few businesses on Maui who, after the shutdown, they'll no longer open their doors. And I'd hate to see that. I know restaurants. A good friend of mine owns a restaurant, Umi Sushi in Wailuku. I know they were hurting because of these mandates that they put on people. Things that they forced these local businesses to do, they didn't want to do, but they did to stay open and, keep revenue coming in so they can support their lives. And, these are things that I would never, ever want to put on a business, deem business is essential or non-essential. That who am I to tell you if you're essential or not? Every business is essential in their own right to their family and the person who owns it. And like I said, these issues, there's so many issues that have been plaguing this place for decades, and we need to tackle all of them. I know it's not going to happen. It probably won't happen in one term, but we can start the wheels in motion so we can start getting this place to what it needs to be.
Well, I'm very happy that you took the time to be here with me. Do you have a website or any place that people go?
I do. So my campaign website is cullanbellformayor.com, cullanbellformayor.com. And
it's going to be CULLAN mayor.com.
It's CULLANBELL for mayor.com.
There we go. cullanbellformayor.com.
Correct.
I was just going to say, I was going to put up Dream Maui, which is, I've been talking about this dream I'm talking about 3 decades. I'm not kidding you. But may the Schwartz be with you is another way to get to me, .us. And that'll get people to take a look. I hope that if you want to get on my show here again before election, whenever, after election, you are welcome. And if I am elected, I'm listening to you. If you're in office or out of office, I am very glad that we got to break the ice and finally meet. I've heard about you, and like I said, the greatest thing I heard about the Kihei thing was you showed you were different. You were not that same mold. You were your individualism showed, and your passion for the people was unquestionable. And that's what I got from people that listened in. So thought I'd report back.
Thank
Keep
you.
up the good work.
Thank you to everybody who listened in and gave you that feedback. And thank you, Jason, for having me on. And I'd love to be back. Before the election would be awesome, and after, because we're getting in, and when we're going to start the wheels in motion. And good luck to you in your campaign. And I wish.
Thank you. And I should tell our audience, because if you get this and you see it on Facebook or on YouTube or on my page, share it, and let people take a look, because that's the key here. If we get seen, Cullan Bell and Jason Schwartz have a chance to be the change. But you are the change. You give me the power. You give Cullan the power by stepping up and registering and voting and being involved and sharing. This interview is only as powerful as we share it as broadly as we can. I really mean that.
We'll get it up everywhere.
And I really appreciate you being here. You're a man that I am very happy to say is a new friend. I look forward to really getting to meet you here. I'm not afraid to shake your hand or be in the same room without a mask. We're good.
Awesome. Nice to meet you, Jason. And thanks again for having me on. And I'll see you soon for sure.
Thank you. And all you out there in internet land and wherever, we are here for you. Come back and look at a lot of candidates. We are very glad we had Cullan Bell here today. He was a special guest. I'm very thankful, Cullan, for you to be here with us.
Thanks, Jason.
Blessings, everyone.
Have a good one. God bless. Aloha.
Aloha.